at our first camp out of the 2017 season.
Woohoo!
Yay! We've been having a fine time so far. The sun is coming out for us.
Yay!
Isn't that awesome? Yeah, we got snowed on the first night we were here setting up. We thank Santa Claus for that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're going to begin our first morning meeting, and like we normally do, we're going to start here. We're going to work our way around the group, and anybody who has anything interesting that they've experienced since the camp out began, they're going to share with us. Okay, so I believe this man who's sitting beside me, somewhat incognito, has something he'd like to share.
Yes, well, I did. First of all, I've been out camping in about 18 years, so this is a really great opportunity to do that again. But I also realized that I forgot a lot of things, like if you want to sleep, you don't put your tent on a trail, on a wildlife trail. So I didn't get much sleep last night, but there was a lot of activity. There was a lot of movement in the brush, and there are elk print back there, so it was probably elk. But I did have a couple odd things happen. One thing, when I was listening to music last night, and sometimes in the past when I've done this, I've had some interaction, and I didn't have any interaction. And so I decided, well, I guess they're not around, so I'm just going to go to sleep. And I turned it off, and just within a minute or so after turning it off, this lovely odor of poop came wafting into my tent, and it was pretty strong. And I thought, okay, if there's someone nearby and I really want to sleep, so I'm going to put the music back on. I don't want to know. And I put the music back on, and the smell went away just like that. Wow. So I think that they were saying, hey, encore please, we want more. So that was one. That was about 12:30 or so. And then after 2 o'clock, I heard a tree snap. And actually it turned out to be behind me, and there's a birch tree that fell down, and it's partially blocking the trail that I was camped on behind me, just a little bit, the tip of it. You can see where it snapped across. And then I had some activity between 3 and 4, but that might have been someone else, someone else here.
Other campers. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll pass on that. I did hear what sounded like foot stomps. So it sounded like 5 or 6 stumps, not very far from me, but there was some light activity, but I think that was some other campers. So.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure.
Nancy, anything?
I heard it might have been the same snap he was talking about, because I was in my little RV and it was off over in this direction over here, pretty loud. That was the only thing I heard, and then I was asleep, so.
Okay. Kelly?
Okay, so I'll premise this first saying it's kind of a little bit out there, but this is what I experienced, and it could have been, there's lots of explanations, so I'm not ruling any of them out. But I was up laying in the tent because it was so cold for a while, covered up. Claire was on her other cot, covered up, and this was during the day. And I felt like someone was poking and kind of pulling on my toes. Now, they were covered up, so I thought I would have bet $1 million at that point. If I would have opened my eyes, it was going to be Claire, teasing me, like poking on my toes. So I opened my eyes, and I was so surprised that it was not her. In fact, she wasn't even in the tent. She must have gone out at one point. And so I thought, okay, might have been my imagination. I laid there again, and again, this was always kind of in that in-between awake and asleep, which is why it's always so hard to know how real this is. But I would say within another 7 minutes, I felt it again. And it was definitely something that would, if someone was teasing you and they're just poking on your feet, just kind of pulling on your toes and poking on your feet. At this point, I thought, okay, she must be on the outside of the tent, poking in, teasing me, with the tent as a barrier. Again, I opened my eyes really thinking that's what it is, and again, it's not. And it happened one more time, so 3 times total, probably within a 15-minute span. And at that point, Claire did come back in, and I said, were you out poking on my feet? And And she's like, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, okay. So I kind of told her it, and then I go, really? Was that you? Really, was that you? And she's like, no, I swear it was not me. I promise it was not me. So, okay, so that's one kind of
There's
weird.
a stump on the outside. I can't really get.
Yeah, it
to
was just. It was bizarre. It was bizarre to say, you know, at that
It
point.
wasn't me.
And so that I had that feeling, and then so she was in there. We were in there, and we were at that point we were you know, we had been so cold.
At bedtime.
But I'm laying there. No, this is before. I was laying there, and all of a sudden, it's like I could feel like my feet. It was like between a tingle and a vibration, and it was my both of my feet, and then it went up to about here on this leg, and it was a good feeling. It wasn't like a diabetic stabbing, you know, that kind of thing. Neuropathy type of thing. It wasn't that. It was really nice. And at that point, I'm laying there, and I was so warm. It was so warm in there. And I looked over to Claire, and I said, Claire, I go, do you feel how warm it is in this tent all of a sudden? And she's like, yeah, actually. And I mean, it got really warm in that tent. And again, it could have just been our body heat, and maybe the sun came out a little bit or something. But again, it was,
There was
so
no sun
warm there for a
yesterday.
while.
Feet were warm.
I mean, we were warm. Like, you could take this, you know, like your comforter off, and it was warm. So I'm like, this is really weird. And then Claire said, okay, if someone is making it really warm in here, saying hey or whatever, go away and show us that what the real temperature is. And within, I would say, 4 minutes, it was freaking freezing in there again. It was ice cold freezing. It was when we went to bed. I had been already snuggled in, and she went over and she laid on her cot, and she laid down, and all of a sudden I just saw this, a light, or if you want to be, you know, orb on the side of the tent by her, and it was just like this, like about, you know, from looking at it, I was like that big, and it was white, and it was opaque around it, and it was just like, this is how long it would have been there. 1, 2, gone. It didn't flash around, it was just like on and off. Again, I don't know, I can't say for sure what it was, but at that point I said, Claire, you smoking an e-cig? Because I thought maybe, I'm just trying to think what it is. And she's like, no, she's completely bundled up. So there's nothing. And we do have a lantern hanging, and it does have a flashing light on it, but the light is green. It was not green. And unless there was somebody up top, maybe with something that had a flashlight that went on and off, I don't know. But we did have that experience. I had that experience. And then one last thing was, while you guys were all down here, and I was up laying, I heard this, like that kind of sound. So it could have been somebody around here, but it did sound like it was coming from that
And
direction.
there's no one back there.
From way over that direction.
Nobody that way.
But again,
No.
you guys were all around here. I could hear you guys. I heard that. And then maybe after we had all gone to bed, I would say probably 15 minutes after it was really quieted down, I heard a ooh. And again, I was thinking, I didn't know if you guys were doing experiments or, you know, but it was loud, and it was a deep ooh. And I mean, it was definitely something. It was definitely some kind of if it wasn't a human, it was some kind of a guttural sound. But
Where's your tent?
it's up
We're
just past the restrooms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's where we
In
were
that
at.
direction.
And then after that, I didn't hear anything. That was
Okay.
it. And then it was lights out.
When we were sitting here by the fire last night, I heard what you described. I heard that was but it was distant. It wasn't real close.
Right.
And it was
off
kind of a,
some-
whoa.
Yeah.
And then it, like a few seconds later, it was like, you know,
Yeah.
just like a 2-syllable grunt.
Yeah.
But it was very distant, so I don't know if that would have been the same sound you heard or not. But, Claire?
Well, I just, what she said is all true. I was there, and, you know,
for part of it, and she asked me if I did it. I did not touch her feet. I did not touch her feet, but I have asked them to heal her, the forest people, and she didn't know that. She's, got severe diabetes and a lot of problems caused by that. And so I have asked, we've heard that they can heal, and we believe that. I do. And so I've asked that, and I didn't tell her. And so that's kind of where she's getting the feelings, is in her feet, and that's the main area that she has the most trouble with. And are they better?
Yeah, I mean, but we've had some other experiences before this camp out. And,
with her feet, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess that's my point, is I want to make it very clear, this was not a neuropathy type of pain. This was, anybody that's ever experienced that, it's like hot razor blades, and it's a burning, really hurts. And you can also get really sharp pains intermittently, and that was not. This was a tingle. I would describe it as between a tingle and a vibration, like more heavier than a tingle, like a tingle vibration kind of thing. And it was nice, but
Yeah. So
yeah.
other than that, I slept, and I never sleep. I don't sleep much at home. I sleep here like a log. She tried to wake me up a couple times. I said, "You need to really wake me up
when
I
I heard the guttural noise.
because I did hear a yell right after everybody went. We all went to bed. It was about 15-20 minutes. We were in our sleeping bags, and I heard a yell. Like you'd hear just a holler. And so we weren't sure if it was someone, but I don't think we're doing that. I don't think that we would just do that at night, knowing that we're listening.
None of our group did any howling or
Yeah.
yelling last night.
And
If we
would
were
hear
to
it.
do that, it would be part of the group, and it would be stated and documented at the time. And even now, this is one of the reasons we do this morning meeting with everybody here. So that
Right,
if
so we
somebody
can see
has
where
an
everyone was.
experience
Yeah.
and somebody else did it, then we can rule it out right then and there.
And didn't you ask people not to do any of that this time?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if we were
Okay.
if there had been any of us, it would have been documented at the time. We would all know about it now. So yeah, it was not any of us.
Are there any other campers anywhere near us?
There are not.
No, I walked way up the road. There's nobody up
Okay,
there.
yeah,
This is now a
because
dead end road
it
we're
was-
on, and there's nobody else here.
Okay, and I know there was no one behind me, and then I went back on the trail, and that goes and goes.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was very interesting. And then we heard it once, and then I fall asleep, and then she tries to wake me up during the night, and I just don't wake up, and that's just not like me.
Huh?
So
she was like that at Bumping Lake too when
Yeah.
something happened, and
When
I
something
tried
happened to
it,
her.
and she's like, "Oh,
and I just can't wake up. So we're gonna try something different tonight.
yeah."
So
I'm
it's-
gonna
Alright.
throw water on her.
Yeah. I want to wake up when she hears things. That's why I'm here.
Right
So-
on. So I guess that scream we're going to hear tonight is you in the whole
Yeah,
water.
and we'll tell you in the
guys
morning.
just hear that.
Make sure you make note of the time.
It was a rock knock just
I
now.
heard that. I heard it.
A big cracking that way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just now.
Right
Just
on.
now.
Pretty
You probably
remote.
picked
This
it
is
up.
pretty remote out
Cool.
here.
Okay. We'll
It was
be
loud.
checking.
It was, yeah, I heard it.
Right on.
That way.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't hear anything last night, but on Tuesday when it was just me and Sandy and Debbie, right?
Yeah.
Debbie. We were here, and I didn't think I heard anything. I mean, I thought it was just me hearing things, but I did hear laying there. I didn't have my CPAP on because I thought 3 of us here. I want to hear if there's anything around, see any eye shine. I got the windows open so I could see anything looking in. And I only had like 2 kind of weird things, and one of them was I heard twice a deep female guttural kind of a woo. And then I heard it a little bit later, and then the other one is just, I don't know if I was just missing my wife, but I heard my wife's name clear as day, Diana. And then other than that, that's all I've experienced.
Wow. Okay. And you are in the spot over across the road where all the activity was happening last year.
So
We got high hopes
come and
for
get
you.
me.
What time was that?
Oh, the VU? Well, 10:30 is when we actually finally went to bed, which is Sandy's 7:30. I would say probably about 12. So about 12ish.
Get up like at 5.
Cool. Okay, Peter, anything?
Yeah.
A couple things. Yesterday after I set up camp,
I was walking around just exploring, and I went down that muddy road to the shore of the creek there, and stood on the bank of the creek and looked over across, and I thought I saw out of the corner of my eye something black flash behind the trees there. Those aspens, those thin aspens on the other side of the creek. And yeah, it was something black flashing. It could have been a low-flying raven, I suppose, but it looked kind of like what I saw 2 years ago at Bumping Lake, just a flash behind a tree, and I saw a head after that. So that was kind of interesting.
Okay.
I also, I thought I heard a female voice last night, but it was very indistinct. I had my hearing aids out, so.
Okay.
And then this morning, when I woke up, my feet were starting to get cold, and I found a damp spot on the blanket over my feet. It wasn't any other part of the blanket. Now I'm camped in a under a canopy, kind of like one of those with covered sides, but they don't come all the way to the ground. And you know, if there were raccoons, they could have gotten in there. But this damp spot, it didn't smell, and there was no leak. There was no spot it could have leaked that I could see. So that's just a mystery how that got damp.
Okay.
And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Okay. Sam?
It was a quiet evening.
Okay. Nothing for you. Okay. Courtney?
It was a quiet evening. I didn't really hear anything other than what you heard at the campfire, but if you want me to talk about my cabin.
Oh yeah, you went up to, you have a cabin that's local here in Greenwater, and you went up to get some dry firewood this morning, and something happened there you were going to share with us.
Yeah, I have a gifting site, and my 6-year-old left 10 big Lego blocks thinking they would play with them or make something. I left a Capri Sun with the straw still in the wrapper, a sand bucket with a shovel, and 2 balls. When I got there, we were walking around, I was kind of showing him, and I noticed that the small ball was way out right behind the cabin kind of area. And then we went to go look. I was like, that's for my gifting area. And the big ball had been moved, and the small ball was a glow-in-the-dark neon ball that if you moved it, you had to kind of move it to shake it, but it would light up. And it had been shook and it wouldn't light up. And the shovel was shoved in the ground, and the Capri Suns, there was a straw in it, completely empty, and the bark was peeled back on the stump, and it was shoved in between the bark, like as if to hold it in
It
place.
had been drank. Remember,
Completely
the straw was
empty.
in it.
Yeah, it was completely
And
sucked
you left
in,
that Capri
empty.
Sun the same way it comes out of the store?
Exactly.
So they got the straw out, found where the hole, or made a hole.
And there was only
It was
4
empty.
Legos remaining.
Wow.
And where was the Capri Sun?
It was on the stump, like.
No, I mean after.
Same.
Remember they tucked it in. You
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they
she
had
said
tucked it
that.
in.
Oh,
They had
I'm
tucked it in on the bark, and I left everything kind of in one piled area, and everything had been moved, and the Capri Sun was tucked in under the bark.
Pat? Penny? You ladies were camped kind of off secluded last night. Anything happen your way?
No, we didn't hear anything last night, but oh, Penny did. She'll let you talk. She'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, you
but,
did?
I have something relevant to the spot, this camp area. I live an hour from here, and my son and I came up here 5 days ago, and we were just checking out the area to see if, it was just dry and what was going on. We went over to that spot over there, the famous spot where Rob is this year, and started walking on that little trail. And Tristan said, why don't we leave a recorder? Because we could check it when we start camping. And so I said, okay. So we kind of climbed up this, it goes up a mountain, and it's quite steep. And we climbed up about 20 feet, found an old rotting stump, and I didn't want to put I had some food too. I didn't want to put it on the side where if anybody's walking by, they'd see it. So I put it around behind. It was a pie and peanut butter and honey.
Honey.
Honey. And the recorder, there was a tree right across, big tree, and right next to it had this big mound of moss. It was real thick. So I slid my hand inside the moss, probably 6 inches under, and in about a foot and left the recorder. It's in a plastic bag. So we came back and checked it, and actually my son came up himself the other day to check it. He couldn't find the recorder anywhere. I
It's
said, well, you
gone?
probably didn't see where I put it. So I'll check it when I go camping. So Penny and I went up there yesterday. I tore all that moss out. The recorder's gone.
Oh my gosh.
Right
Can't
on.
find it anywhere.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Sound
Oh,
familiar?
look at me. No, it does not at all.
Something
So
took the
I
recorder
told her to
and
look
that's it.
beyond because where we found
Yeah, but who would
mine
know
that
where it
time was
was?
probably be about at least a good 50 feet or more away from where I left
Yeah.
it.
And it was mashed into the ground, yours was.
Well, and the recorder wasn't. It was the little piece of wood
Oh,
with my
okay.
happy face on it was turned upside down, and my face was now mashed into the ground.
And
recorder was
like
sitting
and they never took anything from your gifting area again.
You won't let me forget that. Eons ago, Barbie, things have changed.
Okay.
But truly, look beyond because
I did.
They have no.
I climbed
reason
way.
to keep
I
it.
climbed about 40 feet up above it,
Yeah.
and I did the whole perimeter looking for a shiny plastic bag with a recorder in it because I'm
Yeah.
very well attuned to what that looks like. And I scoped that whole hillside there until it got too dangerous. And I thought, well, if they wouldn't toss it up the direction if they're climbing, they would just carry it off. So I didn't proceed any further than maybe 40 feet above. And I figured if they threw it down, we would have found it in our scoping of the lower hillside because we did traverse that a lot.
But the other
Just
part
found
is,
all the food.
If it's on a hillside like that, and they just tossed it, it could have tumbled too. And so, and you can certainly ask them to bring it back too while you're here.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Why not
Yeah.
ask them to bring it back? And
Yeah,
have
and you might like apologize for trying to trick them, because you know I
So
think this is just confirms that they are totally aware of what we're doing, and they don't appreciate when you try to fool them. So they're onto you, and they let you know. So apologize for that and say, may I please have my recorder back?
Yeah, that'd be
And
interesting if
hopefully
it-
it'll turn up.
Yeah, they ate the 2 apple pies. They were completely empty, and the pans were licked clean, but the
Okay.
peanut butter and all wasn't touched. I forgot to tell you when Tristan came up here by himself the other day. He took a picture of 2 big footprints right near it. You can see the toes, and it's really big. And he'll
Oh,
show it when
wow.
he comes.
Awesome. We should
So-
send me a copy of those pictures. I can
Yeah.
add to the clip here.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, we'll do
cool.
that.
Thank
so I'll let
you.
you know if there's anything new. We'll keep checking for that recorder.
All
And
right.
ask for it back.
Yeah, and ask for it back.
We'll do a little.
And just so you know, we're not putting recorders up unless we announce it, and you guys would
Okay.
know. We didn't do anything last night.
Okay,
But we
and
do have it with us.
when you put that under the moss, did you happen to mention it to the Sasquatch people you were putting it under the moss?
No.
Yeah, okay.
But I did make a racket so they'd know we were back. I played my harmonica and I said, bon appetit, we have some new food, come on down. You know, I'm looking up the hill, so.
Okay.
I'm
sure they'll forgive
I think
you.
I piqued their interest. Yeah, so. We'll
Keep
see.
bringing those pies.
Yeah.
Bring pies, yeah.
Okay, Debbie?
No,
Anything?
no.
Nothing?
Quiet last night.
All right.
How about
and,
I will confirm what Kelly heard. Last night after everybody had kind of left the fire because I was laying awake in our tent, I heard it was a ratchety cat screech sound, very loud, back this way, up the road. And it was quite loud and it was quite bizarre and lasted 2.5, 3 seconds tops. It wasn't long. And then I heard a second noise maybe 20 to 30 minutes later. I don't know if it was the who you guys heard or if it was another cat screech, ratchety kind of. It was a weird, odd sound.
That's a good way to
But-
describe it, that first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was like a, yeah,
It
like
was
a
this-
cat screech.
Yeah, it was a
that's
cat
good.
screech, but it was ratchety, kind
Yeah.
of irregular. I can't really.
We've had cougar here last year. We knew there was cougar here last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Because it was seen.
Yeah.
So whatever it was, if it was a cougar, cool.
They're cool. They're cool to hear.
Penny, did you say you heard some knocking as well, like up there or something?
No.
I
That
thought
was
I heard
today.
my
That was
mistake.
just
Oh, just
Yeah.
10 minutes ago, but it was a car coming across the
okay.
bridge. The clack clack that we heard
Okay,
10 minutes
okay.
ago
Never
was
mind.
a vehicle approaching.
Okay. So anybody else? Anything else? Questions? Anything you want to throw in, anybody? All right. Well, I guess that wraps up our first morning meeting from our first camp out of 2017. Yay! All right. I can hardly wait to hear what's going to happen next. Woohoo!